Alright, here are some of the weirdest symptoms that I dealt with that turned out to just be anxiety, and I was completely fine. Take note that all of these also occurred while I was going through chronic depersonalization and derealization for 2 years straight. I was in a state of constant anxiety DPDR for those 2 years. Now, as I list these strange symptoms, feel free to comment any that you've personally dealt with yourself, or ones that I haven't mentioned, and I'll tell you whether or not I dealt with that too. So the first strange symptom was this feeling of breathlessness. Not so much that I couldn't catch my breath, but a feeling that I couldn't get a good breath. Meaning no matter how much I tried to inhale and have the breath register, it just didn't feel like it was registering. It felt like I couldn't get a satisfying breath no matter how hard I tried, which in turn made me think there must be something wrong with my lungs or heart or something else, when in reality this was just another anxiety symptom and a result of me hyperventilating without even realizing it. Another extremely strange symptom was the lack of familiarity for both, my environment and the people around me. So my apartment itself, when I'd walk around, I knew it was my apartment logically, but it didn't feel like my apartment. It felt like I was in a stranger's home. And the same applied for family, friends, loved ones. I would look at them, logically know who they are, but I couldn't feel who they were. They literally felt like strangers to me as well. Another one was an extremely loud inner monologue. It felt like I was constantly negotiating with myself in my own mind, where I was constantly reassuring myself that what I was going through was anxiety and thinking about all kinds of different things without me even wanting to, dealing with endless intrusive and existential thoughts about myself either going crazy, and existential thoughts where I can just look either at someone's eyes or at trees, and it would lead me down a path of these strangest, most dark thoughts I didn't think I could even have. And the internal monologue, it literally felt like my mind couldn't turn off. I couldn't escape my own mind. I felt trapped in my own head. Another strange one was having songs playing in my head. When you typically get a song that's stuck in your head, it lasts for a little bit. It's called an earworm, I believe. But for me, this was pretty much 24/7. I had just songs playing on and on, like different ones that I don't even listen to, that maybe I heard in passing on the radio or something, like Taylor Swift, and it would just be, one sequence of that song just replaying, and then it would change to a different song, and it would just be pretty much constant. It went along with the loud internal monologue where my mind just wouldn't shut off, and that unfortunately included a soundtrack. I also would get this intense feeling of dread and darkness and just heaviness on me, which I had this background version of it for pretty much my entire recovery, where it always felt like I had this unease, I guess you can call it. But there were times where I would get hit with a wave that was very deep and very dark, and it would feel almost like something really bad was about to happen. In that same light, I'd also get really strong waves of just deep sadness out of nowhere. I'd feel incredibly sad internally, and I wouldn't know why. I'd also get random, intense feelings of deja vu, as well as sometimes the deja vu being associated with my dreams, feeling like I dreamt what's happening or something along those lines. It was very strange. I also felt like sometimes if I was walking, it felt like I was tilted somehow. It didn't even make sense logically, but it felt like I was walking left. I don't know how I can even explain that. I'd also get hit with extremely random thoughts. I mean, the most random memories and imagery almost, where I'd be walking and then out of nowhere, for whatever reason, I would start getting these random childhood memories, for instance, of like the most mundane things, like me playing with my grandfather or having pizza with my stepfather, just something really dumb like that. And that was terrifying because it was completely out of context. And this would happen for all kinds of different things as well, including sometimes I would be taking a shower or trying to sleep, and when I'd close my eyes, I would not literally see like a hallucination, but I would visualize something that I was looking at earlier in the day, and I'd pretty clearly see it. It wasn't a hallucination because it wasn't actually in my image, in my vision, but it was something that I could visualize more than usual, which was extremely strange. Another strange one was I would have a lot of health anxiety at this time, and it would feel like, I knew this was logically not true, but it would feel like, TV shows and things like that would be sending me messages. Now, don't mistake this for delusion, because I knew this made no sense. I didn't actually believe this, but my mind would be triggered by the idea of hearing these things over and over. For instance, if I was worried about a heart issue, for instance, I would hear and see more things about heart issues than ever before when my health anxiety was focused on that. And then I'd be freaking out thinking like, why is it showing me this? Maybe this is something. Maybe this is God showing me all kinds of things like that. When I knew logically that's not the case, I knew internally this was anxiety. But in the moment, it feels kind of at least suspicious because you're seeing this, when in reality, all that was just confirmation bias. Another strange one was my memory being pretty distorted and time itself feeling distorted. So, for instance, I can go to an event earlier in the day, come home, I was anxious the whole time, but when I'd come home, it would feel like I did that event like years ago. Like it feels so long ago, yet it was something I just did. And in the same light, sometimes it would feel like time went super fast where the entire day just flew by. And if I'm being completely honest, there's probably about 100 other symptoms and sensations that I dealt with. I did put the entire list of the ones that I could remember, because there probably were more, in my full Anxiety DPDR recovery guide, but there were definitely so much more, and such weird experiences, honestly, where every single new sensation, I started to look it up and worry about it, and it felt like I was getting hit with new things on a daily basis when I was in this state. It was truly just unbearable at a point before I really understood what was happening and why it was happening. But thankfully, as you overcome anxiety, DPDR, and come out of nervous system sensitization, you don't have to deal with all these sensations anymore. They gradually fade away as you return to your baseline. Thankfully, I don't have any of these sensations. And, looking back on them, it was a really intense experience, and my heart goes out to anyone that's dealing with this, because I know just how difficult it is. But just know that it gets better, and these things are just a part of the normal human stress response. It's just our mind, our body, our nervous system trying to protect us at the end of the day. And a lot of the time, we tend to just misunderstand these sensations as it being something more dangerous than it actually is, because it feels so foreign, and it's really scary in the moment when you don't understand it. But that's why it's so important to do your due diligence to understand nervous system sensitization and how all of these things are related. But if you find yourself still stuck in this loop, scrounging for information and unsure how to approach this, you can access my full Anxiety DPDR recovery guide through the link on my profile. It's a deep dive into all of the critical information, the nuances of recovery, and the entire framework that I personally used to overcome 2 years of this. I created it through the lens of it being something I wish I had when I was in Anxiety DPDR, so that others don't have to go scrounging for information and can find all of the stuff that I talk about in one single place, as opposed to piecing things together video by video. Through that same link, you can also access my completely free resource, the DPDR Calm Kit, which is an amazing resource, especially earlier in the condition when you have no clue what's happening and you're terrified. It's a great starting point that provides 12 mindset shifts that really helped me earlier on.